And today on the Unofficial Shopify podcast, we're talking about my Coronanxiety. That's one word, Coronanxiety. So we're going to break down, we can't not talk about coronavirus. I want to talk about some merchant revenue numbers we pulled to see, is there any effect yet? How is this affecting directly our Shopify merchants year to date? We'll discuss a phenomenal article about the direct-to-consumer apocalypse that's occurred with these VC-backed brands. And, of course, a couple Q&A questions from our Facebook group. So, Mr. Rita, currently I'm at DEF CON 2. Should I be freaking out?
You know that the DEF CONs go lower, right?
DEF CON 2, DEF CON 1 is maximum freakout.
Yes, DEF CON
1 is wartime.
So you're
DEF CON 5 is peace. I'm one step below hiding in a bunker.
That's psychotic.
Okay.
You're fine.
So what should I be doing? How worried should I be? I think I've canceled my travel.
Okay.
I wash my hands a lot.
Okay.
Use hand sanitizer.
Uh-huh.
I'm avoiding crowds.
Okay.
And that's it.
Okay, you're done.
Yeah.
You've done everything. We work in an office of 2 people.
Everybody else is remote.
You and I sit 30 feet apart, so I'm not like breathing on you. You do come over and give me huggles sometimes.
Not right now.
I want to talk about that. I don't like it. But I think we're doing everything we need to do, and that's what everyone else should do. There's you could say avoid sporting events, but there's no sporting events to go to.
Yeah, they went ahead and canceled those for us, which was the right decision to make.
So I don't know. I don't freaking out doesn't solve anything. You need to do the appropriate things that we've been told to do by medical professionals. Listen to, if someone is a doctor that works for the CDC or the WHO or like a fancy university or whatever, just listen to those people and do what they tell you to do, and that is the appropriate response. Whatever Donald Trump says to do, don't do that because he's a moron.
What if he says to wash his hands?
All right, fine, then you should wash your hands.
So work from home, self-quarantine, wash those hands.
Yeah.
Avoid crowds.
Avoid crowds. There you go. And then we just got to flatten the curve. This is all about flattening the curve. You still might get it, but we don't want everyone getting it all at once and then overrunning hospitals. Exactly. And then it's because it's like 5% of people need to put on ventilators, but there isn't enough ventilators for 5% of the entire population at once. So let's just ride this out so everyone gets it slowly over a span of like 4 months instead of everyone getting it in April. Right. I think the other thing that mentally the mindset people need to take with it is we're looking at a winter, not a blizzard. This isn't going to be over in a week, but it's going to be several weeks to several months of, all right, just use common sense, avoid crowds, don't cough on people, wash your hands. Yes, that's it. Okay. And if I got it today, a part of me would be relieved. That's like, well, I can't get it twice. I don't think. Are you sure about that? Because I think you can. Well, it could rebound. Maybe. I don't know. There were some. I read there were some cases in China where they declared themselves recovered too soon. I don't know. Maybe you can't get it twice. Don't tell me that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we just gotta. Oh no. All right. My wife is a nurse. They're dealing with the leading edge of it. There was a case at her hospital last week. You can attest that and she's already getting a little frazzled. And you can attest that my wife is a sweetheart and like one of the nicest woman of all time. She's extremely pleasant. Yeah. Very nice. And so, but she's who you want as a nurse. Yeah. And yesterday she was ranting because the ER is getting overrun with people who are like, I was in Walmart and this guy next to me, he looked Chinese and he coughed. So you got to test me. Those people are filling up the ERs. Don't be those people. That's not a made-up story. That actually happened. That's not a made-up story. It's not like a thing like this happened. That literally happened. Ugh. So, and the rant accumulated in her yelling at me. The way to handle this is to stay in your apartment and sit on your goddamn couch and shut the fuck up. So for her to say this is quite unusual. So follow my wife's advice. Sit on your goddamn couch and shut the fuck up.
Uh-oh. We're not doing either of those things. Well, the last thing I want to touch on here is, how do I market during these times?
Please don't. Or, like, just do your normal marketing. Like, don't be like, oh, we're having a COVID sale. Like, we don't need, like, the brands on 9/11. So, like, Garfield is sad about the anniversary of 9/11 or any of that crap going on. It's so gross. Do not be gross. Continue your regularly scheduled, non-gross advertising. People are going to be on the internet a lot if they're sitting in their houses, but do not have special, like, COVID sales, for the love of God.
Yeah, be sensitive. People are, if you have a family member who's at risk, that's worrisome. If you have a family member who's on a ventilator or, God forbid, dies from this, and you're the one who's like, oh, our underwear doesn't prevent coronavirus, despite what, like, just don't do it. Don't do the coronavirus marketing or jokes. It's probably not appreciated. What people want is stability. They want normal. That's how you help people feel better. So be sensitive to it and be smart. Use common sense. And I think the fear is that, well, this is going to impact sales. And I wondered about this. So you pulled revenue numbers for our top performing client stores by revenue for January, February, and March, and then compared them to year-to-date last year. And what did you find?
I'm not the person you should throw this to, because once I pulled the numbers, I realized there is no positive test on this hypothesis. You thought the numbers would be altered in a significant way, and they're not. And also, we only have 11 days in March, so that's not a big enough sample size. And I don't think anyone in America was truly freaking out about it until at least this week, and probably not until last night.
Yeah, they weren't. Yeah,
we're recording this on Thursday,
March 12th.
March 12th. In about a 2-hour span last night, Tom Hanks got it. The NBA shut itself down, and Trump gave a interesting speech about it. So I think that's what. If anyone got set off, they're truly starting to get set off last night.
But so those numbers, though, year to date, people had growth.
Everyone's up. Everyone's doing fine.
Yeah. In January, stores were up 20 to 50% was the median range. In February, it got even stronger, where there were a few that jumped more than 50% in revenue over the previous year. So that was more like 20 to 60 is the range. Just really wild. And then March, we only have 12 days of data, but depending on the stores, up 33%, 10%, 86%, 22%. And then we had there's only two in here that dropped about, averaged 15%. So, okay, this is not the greatest data set, but over January and February appear to be entirely unaffected if you're an e-commerce brand. And February, the start of February was okay, but at this point now, I think the rest of February, the next 2 weeks, we're going to see.
Yeah, and then April we're going to see. Like we said, it's going to be a blizzard. Things are going to be screwed through April. Things are going to be screwed through May. And I think that's the reason the market's cratering. There's currently an argument going on about whether the market cratering is like, we're in a new recession and things have changed, or I perhaps naively am on the opposite end of it, is no, the market's cratering because there's essentially a guarantee that for the next 2 quarters, growth is going to be down. Or
stagnant.
It's going to be down. I mean, there's no way it's going to be stagnant. It's going to be down. And people are freaking out because they don't know what's going on. It's just like kind of a panic. So it's like, but once this all clears up and goes away, which it will, it's not going to be the stand. Like, the economy hasn't functionally been altered. It's not like we all found out that all the houses aren't worth anything anymore.
Yeah, it's not.
Or an entire sector of the economy that people invented in the last 5 years turns out was built on a house of cards. Like, it's not any of that stuff.
So, yeah, the second one you're describing, the dot-com bubble, and the first one, the mortgage crisis. This is not that.
Yeah.
But that's what's in recent memory, and that's what spooks people.
I was going over this. My brothers and I all talk about the stock market. I mean, like October of 87, the worst percentage day in the stock market history was October 87. It lost like 20% in one day.
Whoa.
And it's like, that didn't lead to a recession or anything. It was just like everyone took a giant 20% haircut in one day. And then a month later, they were like, yeah, it's fine. So I get the feel like there's just going to be a 6-month haircut. And then, the election will happen and things will change and it'll be a new year and everyone will kind of be like, all right, whatever. Like, we'll just go back.
So we'll get through it. Again, it's just a matter of waiting it out.
And again, in January of 2021, I'll be wearing like a potato sack and we'll be like, oh, man. So
I hope not. Listen, I'm 6 months ago, everything was hunky-dory and I'm pre-ordering Cybertrucks. And now...
Dude, I bought a house a week and a half ago.
Oh.
I went from having $90,000 in cash to being like over $300,000 in debt.
Cool.
So how do you think I feel?
We talked about this off air. I would not be worried about that, especially when people are pulling money out of the market. It's probably going to go somewhere. Real estate's not a bad investment. I bet real estate goes up, if anything, especially if they cut interest rates and mortgage rates go down. Yeah. I would have confidence in your home purchase, and it is a lovely home.
All right, fine. Well,
in lovely suburban Chicago.
I'm not moved into it yet because, because they don't trust self-employment income as like real income. So
getting a mortgage when you own your own business, the mortgage process was not set up for that. Yeah, I went through it, and that was a real headache.
Yeah, they just keep asking me for more documents. They're like, are you sure you make money? Are you sure there's like real money here somewhere?
For me, I was like, here is the cash. I have the cash. What more do you want from me? And turned out quite a lot of documentation was the answer. Whew. On to another good discussion topic. I don't know how many people have seen this. It's been making the rounds. It's great. Really interesting. There was a Medium article from Maya Kosoff called Why All the Warby Parker Clones Are Now Imploding. How venture capital became the most dangerous thing to happen to now troubled DTCs like Outdoor Voices, Harry's, and Casper. All right, so first I think we need to define DTC and what kicked this mess off.
I have feelings about all of this. So
that's what we're talking about.
So get ready. Well, DTC means direct to consumer, which is like, it's a company that makes a product and sells it directly to consumers. I guess instead of putting it in like Best Buy or Macy's, like they just sell it directly to people. They don't put it in stores, really.
It feels strange to me that one would fetishize a single sales channel in exclusivity. Like our clients are just, not VC-backed giant DTC brands, but many just regular people will sell online. We'll sell on other sales channel. We'll sell in wholesale. We'll sell wholesale. We'll sell in store. I got a couple clients who have stuff in Target. How cool is that? But they're not like, no, I won't sell in Target because I'm a DTC brand. It's just, I've always found DTC became like the definition, the niche, the cool kid thing on Twitter, especially if you're in e-commerce. That is a little weird, isn't it?
Yes. It's just turning it into like a cool acronym that you can now brand yourself. I mean, the joke of it is, you look at all these companies when they talk about like Warby Parker, Harry's, Casper mattresses, all they do is that they're like, well, we're tech companies. It's like, you're not a tech company. You make glasses and you sell them to people. But the fact that you do it online somehow makes you a tech company. Like everyone sells things online now. It's not a new special tech, but oh no, we're a tech company. We're different than like a other mattress store. And the reason they do that is because you can get insane valuations.
Tech company valuations, software company valuations are outrageous.
Yeah. It's like
way better than retail.
Yeah, it's like Tesla. Is Tesla a car company? No. They're a tech company. It's different. Well,
specifically, I think they are most frequently called a software company.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's even crazier. Like the thing they're selling is not just hardware, a vehicle licensed by the government to be on the road, and you're going to pass yourself off as a software company? It seems atypical.
Yeah, it just makes me think of like, what if Henry Ford was just like, oh, cars? No.
we're a tech company. The assembly line is our new patented technology, so we should be considered a tech company. It's like tech is only tech. The existence tech is a thing that just means it was invented since you turned like 15. Like, is fire tech? I mean, fire is tech technically, but
it's just
we don't
been
count
around
that.
so long we don't think of it.
We don't think of it as like, oh, the wheel, that's tech. I mean, cars themselves. Like, how come Ford today isn't a tech company? Are cars not technology?
There's a lot of tech in cars.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if anyone's had the privilege of driving a car from, say, the 60s versus today. 60s muscle cars are awful. You quickly realize, wow, a lot of technology went into this since then. All right, so Warby Parker was the first one. They described this as the godfather of DTCs. Warby Parker, they sell glasses. They disrupted the industry. They love that word, disruption. 10 years ago, and it inspired a whole bunch of other brands into existence, but also a whole lot of VC money, and that's what they were after, right?
Yeah, and so that's the thing. That's why we're a tech company. Dollar Shave Club, Glossier, like that. If I'm trying to start, I'm Paul. I want to start Crazy Paul's mattresses. Well, that's not a tech company. Is someone going to give me $40 million for that? No. But if I can slap some sort of like online paradigm shifting subscription model onto it, it's a tech company now. Now it's worth 100x revenue.
If you say I've got a singular product that's going to be incrementally better and I'm going to sell it direct to consumer purely via the internet and disrupt an industry in the process, then SoftBank will show up and drop $250 million at your doorstep.
And it's like, the hot thing, 3 or 4 years ago, is like all the boxes, like Birchbox and BarkBox, and then
what about all the food subscriptions?
And all the food subscriptions. It's like, isn't this all just the of the month club? It's the food of the month club. That's all it is. Oh, no. It's HelloFresh. It's very different. It's not the food of the month club.
It's disruptive. And what happened to all of those?
Yeah, they all cratered because their acquisition costs were through the roof and they didn't make enough profit margin on every monthly recurring subscription.
So in these DTC consumer brands, the same thing has occurred to basically everybody but Warby Parker. So in this article, they say there's more than 400 DTC brands, and since 2012, they have collectively raised more than $3 billion. Whoa! That is quite a lot, with supposedly half of that just in 2018. So there was a sudden rush in influx of cash, big cash infusion from these big VCs.
Well, what happened is their customer acquisition costs went up because everyone's flush with cash, so everyone's bidding up all the Facebook ads and like trying to compete for the same like under 40 Gen X millennial eyeballs that they think is the target market for all of these products.
I think that was the other critical thing.
It's like upper middle class white under 40 millennials. Like
yes,
that's
they
the
all
target
targeted the
for
same
all
audience.
Of them. Yeah.
Which is wild. And so there's a great quote in here. They said, the investors bankrolling these companies are discovering one thing in common. Most of their money is going to expensive and ever-rising customer acquisition costs via Google, Facebook, and Instagram. As one investor put it starkly, CAC, customer acquisition costs, is the new rent. Ouch. And then at the same time, we have, now that these companies have had time to scale, have had this investor money for years at this point, investors want their returns. They're like, look, we gave you a bunch of money. This was the promise. You built your incredible tech direct-to-consumer brand. All right, payback time.
Yeah.
What'd you do with it?
Well, and turns out the losses keep mounting. I think one of the guys said with the Casper IPO, the economics of Casper, so they filed their S1. The S1 is a sort of pre-financial document you need to file in order to do your IPO. So when the day the IPO launches, people aren't blind. They know your company's financials. So Casper published their IPO, and people went over it, and someone from the new NYU Stern School of Business declared, the economics work better if Casper sent you a mattress for free stuffed with $300, because they were losing $400 a mattress. For every mattress they sold, they ended up losing $400 because of all their admin costs, customer acquisition costs,
returns.
Returns. It's a joke. I mean, and then so the investors, because now they can't score on the IPO because people have sniffed them out. So what these companies do is that they're now lurching around and trying to expand the base product. So
well, some of them jumped on a product that doesn't have a lot of upsell or customer lifetime value opportunity. How long you buy one mattress and then you own it for years? You buy one piece of luggage, one suitcase, you own it for years.
One away suitcase. You're not buying 2 away suitcases every single year. You're buying one away suitcase every 5 years, maybe at best.
And a lot of the stuff had really extraordinary warranties and like a lifetime warranty.
Concierge.
And extraordinary return, all this stuff on it.
Concierge service that we're going to be providing you.
Because this was, a lot of it felt like, listen, building the audience is the hard part. And it is. And they found that through these customer acquisition costs. I think there was a mentality of, hey, we'll build the brand, we'll build the audience, we'll sell them the thing. It just has to be a little better than the existing solutions, and then we'll just dominate that category. And the money will come.
Well, but then they'll be super into us as a brand, and then we can sell them other things too, because they're going to keep coming back.
So if I'm Casper and I only sell a mattress, now they start selling sleep-related accessories.
It's like, I don't know, night lights, white noise machines.
Yes. Well, one was like a warm light so it doesn't mess up your sleep and that sort of thing.
Dog beds. They're the Nike of sleep.
The Nike of sleep. Well, Nike has quite a few more products and customers.
And they make good margins on them.
Oh, yeah. Sure, those margins on a pair of $200 limited edition sneakers are utterly wild.
So, yeah, what happened here is they took a boring business model, I make luggage and sell it to people, slapped a bunch of tech buzzwords on it, then got a ton of unnecessary VC money.
Like an insane sum of money.
Sum of money. Tens of millions of dollars for a suitcase company. Then they couldn't hit the amount of money and growth projections that revenue, that valuation demanded. And so now they're just kind of like trying to find something that will help them here. They're not a business. They're not a business that sells things to people. It's a giant sentient wad of money that is lurching around trying to find a business for the wad of money that has assembled itself.
I love this analogy. It's because people knew that this investor money was out there and they knew what it was hot for. And a lot of this stuff is driven by PR. Like a lot of the spend for Casper especially was on PR.
Podcast ads. You're listening to us, you listen to a podcast. We don't have Casper ads, but everyone who's listened to a podcast has heard a damn Casper ad.
Yes, and to your point, it was because they're targeting that millennial age group.
And they had a shit ton of cash.
Well, to give you an idea of how much cash was going on here, one of these brands, Brandless, launched, and I remember it like initially and then disappearing. I didn't see it again. But Brandless sold, they said, we're never going to sell in Target, but they were in Minneapolis with Target, and we're never going to sell retail. Everything they sold was for $3. And it was like Brandless was unbranded, so it was cool. First, they raised $52 million from Google, then $240 million from SoftBank. That's an insane sum of money to give to an e-commerce business.
I mean, what they're essentially saying is that
a fledgling e-commerce business.
I'm trying to think. I mean, they're essentially like, we're going to be Revlon. Let's think of it. I'm thinking of someone that has a wide range of home goods products that's like their branding. And it's like Revlon's not a home goods, their makeup, but it's like, we're going to be Revlon. And it's just like, oh, well, Revlon's worth this amount of money. So we're just going to give you $50 million. And when you're worth $5 billion, we'll have scored. Well, it's what are the chances that's going to be worth $5 billion? Also, I shouldn't have said Revlon because makeup actually has giant profit margins. Again, not selling the thing for $3 doesn't.
When you're a brand like Brandless selling home goods and everything's $3, and then they couldn't keep that going. So after the CEO left, they switched to $7 and started selling CBD, which is a little crazy. But no, if you're giving this fledgling e-commerce brand $292 million, it's because you think you're going to build the next Target. Yeah. That thinking long term, that's where they thought this was going. But if you think about it, like at that bizarre scale, I sell items for $3 shipped. That's not gonna. All right, so what's the profit margin there? Probably negative or non-existent. I got to acquire a customer. Customer acquisition costs now are nuts. I mean, you could spend. I've seen brands spend up to $40 now to acquire a customer, and then, all right, so.
Well, they talk about it here.
An insane sum to acquire.
Marketing software company AdStage analyzed its Facebook impressions data and found that the median cost per click for Facebook newsfeed ads had risen from 43 cents during the second quarter of 2018 to 64 cents during the second quarter of 2019.
So it goes up 50%.
Yeah, those numbers are small. It's only 21 cents. That's 50%. If your ad costs go up 50%, that's killing you.
And it's not like these sites were bad. I mean, this was really like they were spending the cash to be on the leading edge of design and user experience and branding. Every one of these sites had kind of a similar look, a lot of white space.
All white, a lot of light colors,
color,
bright colors.
And very cool.
Yeah,
and
a lot of things sliding, a lot of animations.
Yeah, and it didn't matter what the brand was. Like whether I was on... Warby Parker buying glasses, or I was on Hims getting erectile dysfunction drugs. They all had kind of the same look, right? But it looked professional. It looked good.
That's why I have. First of all, you need to note that those erectile dysfunction drugs were for fun purposes only. You didn't actually need them.
That was consumer research, sir. I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm leaving.
I hate Allbirds. I don't even know what Allbirds sells.
They sell shoes.
Okay,
they sell shoes.
I didn't know that. I hate them because so many potential clients have approached us, and literally all they have to say about their brand or their needs is, we want it to look like Allbirds.
So part of our design process, well, a lot of people would volunteer that, but part of the design process that we found is like, hey, give us your brand style guide, and then let's help create a vision board. So give me just 2 websites you wish yours was more like. And there was, if I had to bet money on just one, not knowing what they were going to pick, Allbirds is the one I would pick.
And they all wanted Allbirds, and I was like, cool. Are you going to be spending Allbirds money with us? No. Oh, then you don't get Allbirds. Like, get your act together.
Right. Yeah, Allbirds, as far as that like design movement went, a lot of that, they were definitely on the leading edge. A lot of people were just really into that Allbirds look. But part of what happened here was all these brands and the VCs that back them want to show what a great investment this was and how smart I am. There's a lot of just reputation and authority staked on this. So both the firm and the VC hires great PR firms, and then they go out and get these interviews and these fluff pieces and these stories out there that drive the idea that like, this is what great business is. This is what you need to be like. And then other people from the outside looking in go, yeah, wow, they're doing like tremendous revenue and they're raising all this money. To be like them, we should emulate that business model and that design aesthetic. So it has kind of there's a weird ripple effect that occurs when you're just spending this kind of money.
Well, yeah. Well, because you're just like the new cool kid.
Yes. You could buy your way to being the cool kid.
No one listening to this can buy their way to being the cool kid.
No. Of course they can. The better way is to do it via content. You could spend a lot less than $250 million just developing content in your niche and putting that out there and building an audience of millions with a small but competent team doing content marketing. That's where I would have invested my millions. But
it's just VC money.
I'm not a VC investor.
VC money ruins everything.
So what are our lessons here?
What's our takeaway? VC money ruins everything.
Yes. Don't believe the headlines. Like from the outside looking in, you have no idea how healthy a business is. Many of these businesses are flailing. Many have closed. It's just gone entirely now. When in 2018, just 2 years ago, that was like the thing to be and the place to be. So not everything's what it seems. Be wary about investor money because you got to pay it back. It's not free money.
Yeah,
they're going to want to see that return.
Yeah, they weren't giving. I mean, I do think SoftBank actually hates money. I think they just have a giant pile of money and they hate it. They just have like a shovel. They're like, get it out of here.
Can't get it out fast enough. No, this darn money.
Like, oh, that Uber really worked out for us. Uber's cratering. Oop, got rid of that money.
At this point, if SoftBank came to me and said, we want to invest in your business, I would immediately be like, shut it down. Clearly, we did something wrong if SoftBank's ready to invest.
No, I'd take the money and then run away.
Yeah, well, yeah, we can make a best effort. No, because then someone writes a hit piece like this Medium article. It makes you look like an idiot.
I don't care.
They'll take my quotes about when I'm really proud of it and make me sound really stupid.
Oh, I'll be wiping my face with $100 bills in the Cayman Islands. Oh, no. Oh, no, someone wrote a blog post that was mean.
Okay, you're right. There are worse things that could happen. I don't know. We have been bootstrapped. We've been debt-free for 8 years and proud of it. And we have a small, independent, modest, profitable business, and I think that's a thing to be proud of.
Yeah.
These other businesses, they're high risk. They were potentially high reward. Obviously, it didn't work out, but I'm sure all these people will go on to do cool stuff.
I mean, yeah, it really hit me home when I'm like explaining my financial situation to my mortgage guy, and I'm just like, well, and he's like, well, I need your W-2s, and I'm like, actually, I don't have a W-2. The company just makes money, and then
it's a pass-through entity.
Every Friday, Kurt and I look at the bank account, and if it's over X amount, we write ourselves checks for that amount of money, and we just get the money. But then, and we also keep a nest egg in case we need to back up money. And everyone I've explained that to looks at me like I have like a chicken head. They're just like, what are you talking about?
All right. You just want them to go away. You go, we have a limited liability partnership. If they ask an additional question, go, it's a pass-through entity. Then hide. Run.
But it's just like, well, if the company makes money, I get to keep it. And if it didn't make any money, I don't get any money that week. But it's okay.
You make it sound so sad. It's like it's a profit-driven business.
I love it. No, it's wonderful. It sounds extremely silly to most people.
So if you want to run your business in a way that is the polar opposite of these high-risk VC-backed startups, read the book Profit First. That will give you an extremely sane, positive, conservative way to do your bookkeeping and structure your financials. I follow my own loose interpretation of Profit First. It has worked out for us for a decade in our modest independent business.
We own houses and cars now.
It's true. So if your goal is just I want to provide for myself and my family, read the book Profit First and try to stick to bootstrapping. It is the safe and sane thing to do at the moment.
And it unfortunately is not the gateway to TED Talks.
You know, I'm sure
to you giving TED, you could give a TED Talk.
I bet I could work my way there. If I put my mind to it, I think I could get a TED Talk going.
There was a tweet going around that was like you wake up and you are on stage and you have 15 minutes. You literally have to give a TED Talk right now. What is your TED Talk about?
Oh,
and like people were answering that.
I'd be the first guy to do a website teardowns and a TED Talk.
Mine was Lee Harvey Oswald did it. Here are the reasons why.
Oh,
I'm ready to go.
That's pretty good. I could do website teardowns of VC-backed startups.
Well, you did one yesterday.
I did.
Speaking of hitting audio on a thing, tell how many times it took you to do that teardown.
Oh, man. So if you watch the Discovery Channel, there's this reality TV show that's been around 6 years, Diesel Brothers. Diesel Brothers is about some yahoos who build and modify diesel trucks. And what I didn't know was kind of interesting about their marketing. I don't know if I've not actually watched the show. I've seen the promos. They build a truck, I think in the show, and then they give it away at the end of the show. But the way you get entries for the giveaway is you go on their Shopify store, dieselpowergear.com, free plug there. You go on their Shopify store and let's say you buy a flannel shirt for $50. That's 11 entries in the giveaway. So really kind of an very unusual thing they were doing. But they're in the news. And I saw it because they were just fined $858,000, I think it was, for air pollution violations.
Yeah.
For just utterly flaunting the emission systems on these diesel trucks. And so I checked out their website, saw it on Shopify, recorded a teardown. But Paul's making fun of me because it's 20-minute teardown. I do the first one, and I click the wrong button. Instead of hitting finish, I hit cancel. I lose my video. I'm like, oh, man. Like, that's okay. That one was practice, I tell myself. I do it again and discover I didn't hit record. 20 minutes gone again. So the third one's really solid because I'd already practiced it twice. And that's the one that's on YouTube.
Yeah, they got busted. Part of it was that they were selling the devices to beat emissions testing.
Yes.
And which is like a federal crime. And they didn't show up to any of the court dates because they wanted to go to SEMA.
SEMA's very important. I was at SEMA at the same time these guys were.
There was like a federal trial in the District Court of Utah where the court was like, you need to come to this federal trial. And they just didn't show.
Yeah, if a federal judge tells you to do something, do it. Document yourself doing it with a smile on your face and then present it to the judge with a bow. Don't be like, oh, I had to go to SEMA? The judge does not appreciate how cool SEMA is. It's not going to work out well.
Oh, God.
All right, so I want to cover 2 quick listener Q&A questions that I liked. They popped up, Q&A questions? 2 listener questions that popped up in our Facebook group this week. The first comes from Craig, who asks, what are your favorite cart abandonment subject lines? And actually, he wrote favorite with a U, O-U. Can you do a British or Australian accent for this question?
I embarrass myself in many ways on this show, and I'm not going to do that.
Should I do it with a really embarrassing Cockney accent that I'll regret?
No.
No?
Just read it. We're going to go.
What are your favorite cart abandonment subject lines? And so mine is, can I help? I have found shorter subject lines are more likely to get it opened. And I want my first, ideally you're sending like 3 or 4 emails in your abandoned cart sequence. But I really want that first one not to be a discount. I want it to be customer service related. Because clearly if they added to cart, they're interested and something happened. Maybe the phone rang or the baby woke up from a nap, something where they just had to leave. So I just want to remind them. But maybe they had a question where they're like, and it stopped the process. So I just lead with, can I help? And then in that abandoned cart email, I just ask, hey, if you had any questions, just hit reply. I'm happy to help. So I like that one. But then in the comments, there were other people posted theirs, and there were a couple good ones I wanted to call out. So Adam Watson suggested your incomplete order. Oh, I think that one's diabolical. Because you're used to seeing your order is complete. So he's kind of got to play on that, and it's only 3 words. Your incomplete order. He says that's got a 55% open rate. Whoa, that's really good. Now, I don't know if that might, if you annoy people with this or not, but I would start split testing some subject lines in your abandoned cart emails. Klaviyo could do that. You can A/B test the subject lines.
That's one of the famous stories from the Obama campaign, was that the Obama campaign ruthlessly split tested all of their fundraising emails.
It was Harper Reid.
Yeah, and back in 2008. And it was it's 2008, so the idea of we split test email subject lines, people were like, what? Like their heads
what
explode.
Are you from the future?
Yeah, but that's one of the famous things that they did, and they just relentlessly evolved them over time. And I remember the biggest one was the email looked as though it was coming from Michelle Obama, and the subject line was, I need your help. And they were like, that one fucking made millions of dollars.
And now if you're on any political candidate's newsletter, you will get an email that'll look like from them personally now. They all do that.
Yep.
And you will get one that's a variation on I need your help.
Yep.
Guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Another variation on your incomplete order, Mitch Barham suggested your order is not on the way. And he has not in all caps. So I like that one because it's a little tongue-in-cheek. But he said it gets lots of engagement, where people reply to it and they like the joke. Oh, your order's not on the way.
Mm-hmm.
So that one's a much less subtle version of your incomplete order that Adam Watson suggested. And then the last one I wanted to call out was one of our favorite guests on the show was Rivki Itzkowitz from Impact Fashion. She sells modest dresses for Jewish women. I'd love this as a niche.
They're for all people that just want to have their shoulders covered.
Yes. Collarbone, shoulders, elbows. I learned. And because she sells one category of product, she uses a subject line, do you have any questions about, and then whatever the product title is, to try and give it some more personalization. So you'd say, like, do you have any questions about our dresses? Might be how she phrased it.
Well, it would probably be like about, the gray tube dress or whatever. Although it wouldn't be a tube dress.
I like that idea. I don't even know how you would implement that. I wonder if you had...
Can't you just read the first thing can you read what's in the abandoned cart? Obviously you can, because it's in the email.
If I could put liquid in the subject line, then I need an if-else-if statement in which I say if it's one product title, and then if it's multiple, else if, so if it's multiple products, then your order.
Well, if you want to get real crazy, you build an array of all the product titles inside the cart, and then just pull...
And jam that into the subject line as a liquid statement?
And then pull the first product title out of the array.
My subject line is 20,000 characters.
Well, the liquid renders it out.
Yeah, great work. We're probably overthinking that one. But the point is, customer service focused, unexpected works, etc. All right, and our second and final question, Joel asks, I've recently purchased the Out of the Sandbox Flex theme and want to redo our story page in the same style you've done for Recycled Firefighter. How did you customize the theme to set it up like that? So it's actually a lot easier than you'd think. That's just using, and most of the about pages I set up in and out of the Sandbox theme use the alternate page template .details. So they've got a page template you can use called .details, and that gives you like a cool hero and a whole bunch of different sections, very similar to what you would have on your homepage. So you can make these very elaborate, nicely laid out about pages. So you want to tell your story, but you don't want it to be a giant wall of text. So you can use like alternating text and images to break it up, put a video, banner, and then, of course, you want a call to action in there. You don't just want your about page and then you're done. At the bottom of the about page, then, like, let's say it's from, this guy's name is Joel. So let's say at the bottom of the page, we say Joel's favorite picks, and then he's got a featured collection with the stuff that he likes best in there at the bottom of the about page. So it's not just a dead end. And then the page.details template, you could do that very easily. No coding, no messing around.
Yeah, you could do that all by yourselves. You don't have to like hire someone to do it.
Yes. So the short answer is a lot easier than you'd think to do that.
And they're great.
Totally worth it.
The one stumbling block of those is, so there's like you get out of the box, you get one page details template. And if you apply that template to other pages, it's going to look exactly the same. Like you get one page detail template, no matter how many pages you apply it to, you only get one. And so it shows up in all those places because of kind of Shopify limitations of how the template and sectioning system works. So if you want to do more of those, you can do more of those, but you probably need someone who knows what they're doing, or you can read it up online. You just copy the details template and make more of them in your back end. Like number 1, number 2, the about us details, the contact us details, and then like do all those. And then if you do that, you have multiple ones you can apply across. And
now,
this is something that should be solved by Sections Anywhere.
Yes.
Fingers crossed.
A feature announced at Shopify Unite 2019 in June. Off the record back channel stuff I've heard is they're going forward. They're working on it. They're getting info to theme developers on how it's going to work. But no ETA, no deadline, and when we can expect to see this thing. But Sections Everywhere will just make all of these sections work much nicer. And it's the sections you know and love on the front end, but they will be much more powerful, won't have that limitation, and apps will be able to inject sections in. So if you add an app, instead of having to they give me a snippet in
there, yeah.
It could just be like, well, now there's a section that this app, let's say you use our crowdfunder app. Like there's a widget, it can inject a widget that's like, all right, put the crowdfunder widget in. And then that way you could jam your campaign on any page without having to email support and I have to go do it, right? So cool things in the pipeline as far as theme features and theme editing go. Okay, I think this wraps up today's show. I liked it. This was like classic Paul Kurt banter. Very proud of this.
See, you've turned it around. 40 minutes ago, you were like, we're all going to die.
Now I feel much better.
And now you're fine.
You've talked me off the ledge.
I don't know there's nothing to worry about. I don't want to say there's nothing to worry about because you should worry. You should worry and take appropriate steps. But if we all take appropriate steps, there's nothing to worry about.
Whew. Well, I'm glad to hear it. You've calmed me down. Feeling the ulcer's healing. I'm feeling less sweaty.
Note that it's if we all take appropriate steps. So you're dead.
No.
Because you can't trust everyone.
I think I'm going to build a hidey hole in a tent in our basement, hiding that. All right. In closing, please leave your positive reviews for us. We'd love to have those. And of course, we want to hear from you in our Facebook group. Search Unofficial Shopify Podcast Insiders. Join our Facebook group. And perhaps I will quote you in a future episode. But either way, we would love to hear from you, no matter what the method. Thank you.